Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 103 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic, as always, and I'm taking Green Day next week. How about you two?
I have a
Not
little
an answer.
game. See if you guys can figure out what my album is based on some lyrics.
Anyway, um, hello, Ritz and Tricks, as always. Lovely to have you two here finally again. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
8 days or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Even.
I had a little busy day on their usual recording day, so we had to switch it up a little bit, but that's okay. We still got 3 albums to talk about. We've got Stapping Young Lad's City, Baby by Petrol Girls, and Team Mekano's classic project 2000.3 GP Deluxe Edition.
Indeed.
Look, it wins for the title, and that's about it.
So, I mean, this is the question, right? Was this too deep fried for me? Should we get into this one first?
Yeah.
Let's talk about how old you are, Domino.
I am 27.
How well do you remember being? How well do you remember like 2007 childhood?
I mean, that was the era of, like, you know, Zack and Cody, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I wasn't watching Chowder per se, but you know, a lot of stuff was still on that I was interested in. Teen Titans had just gone off of the air, I think, or something like that.
Fair enough.
And then we had Johnny Test, which that was definitely the start of the downfall. You know, you like it as a kid. You like it as a kid when you're young, and then you realize kind of older that nothing holds up. Just is pure.
I was just more confused because I knew that Johnny Quest had been a thing, and why Johnny Test was a thing, I wasn't sure. I keep hearing crack from Tricks. What were you saying?
Whip crack. There was if you've watched any Johnny Test, you'd realize they really overused the whip crack sound effect.
Watch. Yeah, that I've heard.
And,
I've seen a compilation or two, I believe.
And the intro is just a fucking Green Day song.
Really? Or like just a style of?
It's basically just American Idiot, if I'm remembering correctly.
But yeah, it's like in the style. I don't think.
So it's more close to like a Big Bang Theory theme song or something.
It uses like the exact same chords of American Idiot or something. It sound like I'll pull it up and you'll be like, why? That is a Green Day song.
Well, fair enough. I will listen to it later because if I listen to it on air, it'll be on the recording.
Yeah.
I don't want to edit around that. So, I mean, this era of things, 2006, 2007, I was in middle school. You know, phones were still becoming in the vogue for everyone to have. I had a flip phone, I think. I was just becoming online, so a lot of this shit makes sense to me in a way. I think a lot of this is a bit newer than that. You know, like you got like a troll face on the cover. That's like the 2010s at least.
Yeah.
But you get like on the cover, you also got a kid that looks like Mac from Foster's Home. That's what makes me think of that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm just taking a look. Yeah, I kind of see it as well.
But,
sorry, I listened to the first 3 seconds of that trick. You're absolutely.
It's just American Idiot.
Yeah.
So we listened to this, and we thought it was like hyper pop, and it is. But we've also delving now into a genre that is called HexD, which is just like the basic premise is just like deep fried, bassy, just really remixes that have just gone beyond remix and have become their own thing almost, and are just, you know, remixed and leveled differently, and just everything is everywhere, and it's a new thing. You can kind of recognize what it is sometimes, but
yeah,
I'm going to be fully honest. I just didn't enjoy this. This wasn't a case of, oh my god, I can't stand the sounds or anything like that. And there were definitely a lot of moments where probably all the references and stuff that all the stuff they were doing were lost on me. Like the only remix I could really actually notice in there was Heaven is a Place on Earth. Other stuff, you know, couldn't really listen to or focus on properly, or blah blah blah, or didn't really just actually understand. Like when you showed me the first song from this, like Listen and Grow or whatever that is, it's a remix of something you two know, but I didn't fucking know it at all.
Yeah, Sean Kingston's Beautiful Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone trying to listen to Sean, to be honest.
It's one of those ones that used to be on the radio a lot when I was a kid, I remember.
Yeah, one of those things
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you if it was on here or not. And sorry to interrupt, Domino, but
That's okay.
you're technically interrupting me. But going into just taking all that about and actually just listening to it for the sounds and everything, it really felt like the same fucking song 40 minutes, to be quite... I mean, granted, it's all sounding like it's coming from a phone, and there's a bit to be admired with exactly how much production value is on to this, despite it actually sounding like it's just made on a phone. It's actually... I admire that, and I wanted to like this a lot more than I did, but it was just very... Chick's favorite word. This is more of a blender than most of the stuff that we do, to be...
I don't even disagree.
I disagree a
fair,
bit more. Like, it's not perfectly all distinct, but I think I got into this a little bit deeper. I don't know. I don't know if you have to just know the references. I'm not even going to say I knew all the references. It is worth noting that this is a group of, like, Chilean DJs. So I don't even know if we're even privy to all the references, really. But
Yeah.
stuff like Svalangra, or whatever, how to pronounce it, it's like... that I can kind of connect with, because it's like, okay, I am aware of the Sean Kingston song. I was literally talking about it with some friends when Trix brought this up, and I'm like, wow, that's a weird connection to my life. And then it was like, oh, it's like Sega music, basically. I can chill with some Sega music.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, though, on their new album, they have a song called Dismiss Yourself, ruined a whole generation of people, and that's just funny.
Yes, Dismiss Yourself is... again, responsible for the special edition of the Your Arms My Cocoon album, so which I think I'm Ruined, the last track from that, is probably like a HexD song now that I think about it. But yeah, this is just one of those things where it's like, if you know video games, if you're familiar with like cartoons, you're gonna recognize certain things, but it's like, you know, you'll hear like the sneaking noise from a cartoon pop up in a song or something.
Yeah.
And it's like you're like trying to, like, you know what that is, but you're also trying to place it in a musical term, and like, how does that work as a piece of music more than just a sound effect? Because it is a piece of music. It's just one that is...
they tried to build a genre off the penis music meme.
What is the penis music?
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that one, not gonna lie.
That one I'll share, but it's a lot of it's this song called like Rubber Band or whatever, and it's just a compilation of like old Hanna-Barbera cartoon sounds.
Oh, that sounds disgusting. I want to hear it.
I'll post it in chat.
But yeah, that is... I can see how that would be similar, considering all the sound effects then.
Look, I would absolutely love to see bands of every sound. I'd love to see Bandstand do a video on every sample in this album.
Yeah,
that's the person who, he's done it for stuff like the Avalanche, full sample album, and there's a lot to be admired. I mean, this isn't quite... I wouldn't put this in the same level of sample heavy as the Avalanches, because this actually seems a lot more remix heavy, despite the overuse of samples, because it's basing itself off a song, changing it into its own thing, and that's admirable. That's actually pretty admirable. I don't want to go into this and say that I'm not, like, despite not enjoying this at all, to be fair, it doesn't mean I don't respect a lot of the work done into this. I mean, there's, like, I could compare this. I probably actually have the same level of will to go back as I do to recently, but the difference is that I didn't respect the Motionless and Riot, and I kind of do respect this.
Interesting. Okay, so you're like, okay, Motionless and White, fuck that. I don't like this, but I want to come back to this. That's at least admirable. I get that.
Yeah.
No, I probably won't come back to this, but it's kind of like when I'm comparing the two. Like, right. I can't actually tell you specifically what I hate about this, other than that and it gets boring after a bit. It's the same thing, which is still quite a big thing to fucking hate about an album. Don't get me wrong about that. But when I go into the more specifics of each song, it's like, well, I am still impressed by what they've done. This is at least, like, I don't think this is good. I don't think this is bad. But usually when we go with that, it's not good, it's bad. It's an album that exists. This is at least mid in an interesting, which we rarely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, a lot of what shines here is as we get more into the album and we have songs like Angel Core Part 2, which is where the Heaven is a Place on Earth sample comes from. Like,
Yeah.
that's a sample that I'm familiar with more than the Sean Kingston song, and so it's like, okay, let's take a song that I kind of know and put it in this formula or whatever this is. And it's like, okay, now there's some like nightcore in there. It changes how that song is interpreted completely. I guess that sample, but it makes you think of the whole song in a sense. But
Yeah.
it changes the context of it, and I think fundamentally that is still interesting, whether that's the Avalanches or here. This is just a different way of doing it, and it's based more also in surprising people and kind of playing off nostalgia and kind of evoking certain memories in people's heads, whereas the Avalanches are going through things that people don't know as much and are seeking to recontextualize them to make them have more meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So it's
I mean, it's not always the case of that with the Avalanche. They
Sure.
definitely did use some ones, but I do agree.
like, yeah, the Karen O stuff in the newest album is a better example of what you're talking about. But that was also my favorite part of that record.
I was more talking about how, like, in them, even in their sample heavy ones, like they've used they used the song Holiday. I'm trying to remember. That was Madonna.
Yeah, they do. I think they use Holiday on Madonna.
Yeah, and I can't remember which one. They use a Beatles song on Wildflower. I think it's Come Together, but I could be.
You need to do Wildflower at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely do. But that's a different episode.
Yeah.
I actually haven't studied this album outside of listening to it, so I couldn't actually tell you all the remixes that they did on there. And I'm sure if I looked at it, I'd probably actually only recognize a couple.
Yeah. I mean, I still think the most interesting thing I did for this was try to replicate all of the crazy fonts and shit they did for the titles. Like, it was painstaking to fucking try to write that shit down.
I don't doubt it. I don't envy you.
I definitely also respect the aesthetic too in this album. Totally. Fuck this.
You fucking putting like diamonds and stars and like Dreamcast spirals and the cursed text font from Tumblr where it's all corrupted and shit. I do like that shit quite a bit.
I would like to mention that this is our first time officially covering Nightcore, because one of the tags on the Bandcamp page for this album is post-Nightcore.
What about that time we talked about very, very briefly the Mount Erie Real Death Nightcore remix?
We didn't officially cover Nightcore.
It's true. You need to bring the Nightcore cover remix on here for real, Reds.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it would just be one episode. We listen to only that, and then you slap me for 40 minutes.
I mean, I've seen some evidence of some good slaps online lately, so we can maybe base it off of that.
Best $60 I ever spent.
I did like certain songs and certain moments in this album quite a bit. Like the Too Much Time part from Too Much Time I really liked. I really liked portions for Foxes. The Babu stuff in that song. Babu. That sounds like a fucking character from Mega Man Legends. And it's like, I don't even know if that's really what that's going for, if that really is that sample. It's hard to really know. Like, or if they're just trying to evoke that sample, but I do dig that because I'm familiar with that. This is literally like a thing where this is like I recognize the meme, I recognize the reference, and so I clapped kind of music compilation in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I like it because I know what it is. But it's only for the certain special kids who knew what was up, apparently, in Chilean and American music around 2007.
Yeah.
But, like, I like covering rave, I like covering nightcore type music. This is stuff that is still new to the palette as far as the show goes. Like, still chiptune-y stuff.
Absolutely.
So, as we talk, I am the older person here, but I do come away admiring this album quite a bit, even if it's not my top pick of the week.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily even... Well, it is kind of close, but this isn't something I automatically hated. I'm not at that stage yet in my life, thankfully, where I'm just shutting out new music. Or new kinds of music. If I was doing that, we would not be covering 100 Gex.
Yeah.
I saw a post online that was comparing this to 100 Gex, talking about them as like, 100 Gex is like the one twin who is like, who knows what they're doing, and this is like the shameless fucking freak.
I'm putting this out. I expected to compare this to 100 Gex before I'd even listened to this record. And I always hate when we only just compare it to one artist or anything like that, even when I do it quite a lot. But sometimes, when it's done, it feels very valid to to compare it to a specific artist for context here, but in no way would I compare this to 100. 100, yeah, 100 gex does use sound effects and stuff, like this does, but the sounds are different. And whilst this isn't really as much hyperpop as it is, going into natcore and other genres like that, I would say there's like barely any hyperpop in this, whilst 100 gex just sounds completely different. There are some similar structures. Yeah, there are some similar incorporations of random sound effects, or even random. It's like maybe you would be able to tell me parts of "I need help immediately" sound. Like there's those sounds and structures on this record. But actually comparing them as an album and going into this, I think they're both in two different paths and aren't actually as comparable as you want to put them.
Yeah, this is almost like the fucking Death Grips JPEG Mafia comparison. It's like, they kind of track in similar lanes, but not really.
I think there's more worth comparing Death Grips to JPEG Mafia, mostly just because I love seeing JPEG Mafia get mad at that. But also I think there are more similarities, even when there's still a lot of difference how their structures are and how their songs actually sound. Than there is comparing this to 100x.
Yeah. Trix, what did you think of this? You haven't actually said yet, and you're the one who picked this.
I actually quite enjoyed this album. It's not going to be my number one for this week, but it's an album I definitely think I'm going to end up going back to quite a lot, because there's a lot to digest on it, and there's a lot to it, which I appreciate that quite a bit. But it's an album that you can't really digest in just a week, if you ask me.
They do have a 2022 record, as I did mention beforehand, and I am going to give that a listen throughout this year. There's no reason why I won't, because as I said, there's still some interesting moments. Like, there's still some interesting production, whether or not I'm into it or not, that makes me think, okay, well, maybe I can check out and see if they change the style or the sound a little bit, if that's a lot more enjoyable for me. Because I love when I do my top 100 at the end of the year and I have something absolutely batshit crazy that everyone hates that I actually like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this sounds like an artist that would eventually be one of those, but I had to listen to find out, because this didn't.
Yeah.
You're not quite there yet, but
yeah,
this could be a surprise sneak into your top 10 or something like that. That'd be amazing.
This is an album I would ironically throw onto like a jailbroken PSP that I was using as an emulator.
I'll put this onto the 3DS. Actually, I'd put this onto the DS Lite, to be honest.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know how you could even do that, but hell yeah.
Try.
You could probably figure out how to convert to a codec the DS will read.
Yeah, that might be a project for somebody to convert it to run into the album into a DS ROM.
Like an hour-long music video to go with it.
Something like
Just
that.
like all like a bunch of like fucked up, distorted, psychedelic cartoons and shit from the era. No, not even that. Just the commercials and the bumper ads.
Yes.
On a completely irrelevant note as well, you know how the 3DS had a camera so you could take pictures of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the story of there was a pre-owned 3DS and they didn't wipe the data on it, and a kid bought it and logged in. I don't know how true it was. It's probably fake for the internet. It's funny. But they looked in the camera roll, and other people had taken pictures of them naked and put it on the fucking 3DS.
I mean, I remember when that thing was first coming out. That's the thing everyone was waiting for. Was like, is this the advent of 3D porn?
Hell yeah! Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Do you guys remember that ad for the DSi where they were like showing off like the distort features of the camera? You know that somebody saw that and was like, I could use that on my dick.
100%.
Fuck.
Anyway, now that we've gone into dick talk, I think that's a sign that we're pretty much got nothing else to say about this, unless one of you two want to prove me wrong.
I appreciate covering this as an experiment, and I'm glad I made Trix do this.
And I'm sorry for calling you old, Domino.
And I'm mad you still didn't pick Death from Above.
It's going back into the pile for a bit, Ritz. You'll maybe see it in a year.
Yeah.
I'll take responsibility for that. I mean, I'm sorry that my ego got the best of me this week, but I had to prove you wrong. I just had to.
Fair enough.
Favorite? Probably the one you showed me. I don't know how to pronounce it because
Falangra?
probably Yeah, that's probably got the most Stockholm syndrome on me out of all of them. Least favorite, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. Probably like the last couple songs on here. I was kind of bored of it by then.
Mm-hmm. I do also just want to shout out real quick that was it Kesh Seal, one of the last tracks. The last 5 tracks are for the Deluxe Edition. Yeah. The last 5 tracks are for Deluxe Edition. Just want to point that out compared to the original version. But Kesh Seal has that fucking hey ho fucking classic sound sample in it that fucking threw me for a loop. That like so many songs have used for the last few decades. Anyway, my favorite tracks. I guess I will give it to Too Much Time and Portions for Foxes Frank Lampard remix. I think my least favorite track is probably either the first one, what is it called? El Retorno del Gamer, or let's go with Homero Simp as a backup.
Favorite for me, I'm also gonna go with Portions for Foxes Frank Lampard remix, and I really don't have a least favorite. I really kind of enjoyed this album.
But did you enjoy it as much as our next album?
It depends on which album we're talking about.
The silence haunts.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's talk about Stapping Young Lad.
I enjoyed this more than the other Devin Townsend album that we did, but you remember how you said this is a tough week?
Yeah.
I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I know I'm a biased fucker who will pick his own album as his favorite the whole time.
I have a pretty clear 1, 2, 3 as well.
Yeah, this one's really clear for me. I mean, I enjoyed this record more than the last Devin Townsend. I probably enjoyed this more than Team Mekano. I don't think it's as impressive as Team Mekano, but it probably beats it. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that I didn't hate any album despite not being so impressed by 2 of these albums. I don't know why I enjoyed this more than whatever the last. It was Addicted with them. One that we did.
Yes, from episode 2.
Maybe that I like that this one just sounded a lot more raw and a lot more like. This was quite young into Devin Townsend's career, am I correct? Or is it
yes, this is probably in like the first 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I'd say that's comparatively to where he is now.
Yeah,
he's still at it, which good on him for that. I mean, the pictures on here, he has fucking hair.
Yeah.
And damn, that's some good hair.
This was definitely during his like heavy drug abuse phase, undiagnosed mental issues phase, where he's talked about Stapping Young Lad since doing that, and just talks about how he just does not want to do it much anymore because it literally is physically and mentally damaging to do.
I don't doubt that.
That's
Go ahead.
I said that's fair.
Yeah, like 25 years ago when this came out, this was considered a landmark in this kind of extreme hardcore metal genre because it was so raw and so just in your face and just wall of sound quality instrumentation going on. And I do think some of the tracks really reflect that very well. But it's definitely a thing you listen to and it's like, holy shit, is this guy okay?
Now, the one thing I didn't look too much into this, but you seem to also have quite a bit of a fondness to the lyrics on this album, don't you?
Well, I posted a couple passages because we talked last week about Motionless in White, right?
Yeah.
And how, metal and all that, it's better if it tries to be about something, be kind of political and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least because, a bit more coherent and not just generic.
Right, a point of view that means something versus just kind of vague, I'm angry, I hate this, but this could be anything.
Mm.
And I'm trying to find the parts I linked.
Well, I've got them up here. So the first one is already a better line, better bar or something. I guess is a better way than anything with the Motionless in White, which I don't like comparing it to White because it feels like an insult to Stapping Young Lad. Miles ahead of it. Sexuality, eroticism in asexual persuasions, man or woman makes no difference in the outcome. No fashion, no tolerance for stupidity or ignorance. Adidas or the Arc Deluxe, and time is now an object now. That one's already better.
Yeah.
Off motion.
And it's worth noting that this whole album is kind of a sci-fi futuristic concept. You know, this is very much based on, you know, like anime, like Battle Angel Alita, and it's kind of in the same vein as like stuff like The Matrix would come to be.
Gotcha.
Actually, the album's about a sci-fi future where everything's becoming a lot more illegal and we're fighting against the resistance. So, just had to say that because, you know, there's only 5,000 fucking albums released of that a year.
No, that's true, especially
I guess
now.
Released one.
Remember 2112?
Yeah.
2112 was literally just a retelling of Ayn Rand's Anthem.
Much.
But I do think, I do think the second one also does a good job of that. Fuck you, stupid, human beings. Technology will be the second coming and will hit us when we're looking for a man. I warned you. Technology. Hating, burning, waiting, failing, twisting, fucking twisting human cancer. Fuck your bullshit America. Hey, you failed, like God and me. Feasting like dogs, you fucks are in my way. I warned you. Like, yeah, it's angry. It's, you know, enraged. It's, you know, at least calling out America, calling it bullshit versus I'm angry about people in power and, you know, they're fuck the system. What is the system? We don't say. This at least has a point of view.
I can't believe you fucks are in my way or an actual inspiring lyric to write. I've just been saying that to my teammates in Counter-Strike.
But I think Devin has a good track record for writing lyrics. I'm not gonna go around and say like everything on this album is amazing to read or to take in as a lyrical thing, but since you've sparked my interest again, I do have to at least defend the fact that he knows how to write a fucking song. He knows how to write a good song.
We've definitely covered quite a lot. Covered Townsend, and if I just going off memory from Addicted, he's definitely written songs a lot better than some of the other stuff that we covered at that time. Yeah. That. And yes, he does know how to write a song. I don't think there's anything on here that makes. I mean, I think our problems of Addicted was that it just wasn't really so interesting or new, or it kind of just like it was. I didn't want to say focus groupy, but it was starting to sound a bit like that. Like it's pretty stadium rocky for a metal from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're even just talking about the lyrics, I mean, yeah, they're a step above what we've covered a bit before. I don't even think it comes close to the best lyrics that we're covering today, but again, I'm biased as fuck. You can worry about that shit later. In a case like this, like, yeah, he's writing songs and hell, he's performing them pretty fucking well, actually. Like, I don't think you can really go and say that any performance on here is half-assed. It sounds like it's full emotion going into most of these songs, and yeah, there is quite a lot of mostly screaming one of those emotions.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I don't know too much about context in this case. I admittedly haven't been too interested to search up into it. I only own one Devin Townsend album because I found it at a Vinnie's for $1. That's as much context as I have for Devin Townsend. So I don't know much about his drug abuse or any of his other problems that were going to be happening around in this album. If I looked more into it and looked a bit under the hood, I'm sure I would probably find a lot more context, which would probably give me some more appreciation for this album, which is not to say I don't have appreciation for this album. I do come into it just seeing Devin Townsend still there as an artist that I'm not going to complain about when we cover it on the podcast. I'll probably be like, okay, that's interesting, we'll go into. But I don't really have much interest to also further explore on my own, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
What I mean?
I mean, without knowing everything, you don't have to know everything, perhaps, but I always just found him interesting because I do think he's a fantastic singer. I do think he's really good at what he does, and he's, I just think his presence is very good. Like, people are so used to metal just having that face that he had in the 90s where it's, folks are being crazy with all the long hair and the, gruff, masculine, where now he just looks like a teddy bear dad type. Like the most unassuming guy imaginable.
Did you just call Devin Townsend a bear?
A teddy bear. A teddy bear.
I think you called him a bear there. I know you.
Devin Townsend did clean up very nicely.
Yeah, and I think he's.
Go ahead.
I think he lightened his sound, but probably for the best. And this isn't like Nine Inch Nails, where I think Nine Inch Nails got worse as Trent Reznor cleaned up a bit, unfortunately. But I think he still found ways to have quality. Also, being prolific also helps that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want
And
to say
coming
as
from a
well,
guy,
the last. Yeah, you can go first, actually.
I think coming from a guy that started his career really doing lyrics for a Steve Vai album and fucking acting like he was insane in interviews, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say was, I remember though the last time that we listened to Devin Townsend, I had a coworker who wasn't into Devin Townsend, and he recommended me an album by The Sword, which I listened to, and I did enjoy that
Sword
album.
kicks ass.
And now I have a coworker that's into Steve Vai, so he's probably going to be my into Devin Townsend, so I'll probably get that recommended. That's all.
I mean,
That's all that was.
Yeah.
And the thing I was going to say a minute ago about metalheads is that when they get older, most of the time they clean up very well. There's a joke about every time Christmas comes around about Tom Araya of Slayer getting mistaken for Santa by kids.
That's the
And you can't forget about Corpse Grinder there, who loves claw machines and tries to clear out claw machines when he's on the road so he can donate all the toys to children in need.
Oh, that's adorable.
And then
By
there's
the way,
Rob Zombie out there defending baby metal and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great point.
So
Tricks, by the way,
metalheads,
I just want to quickly say, Tricks, the album that I listened to from The Sword was Warp Riders.
not their best album. If you want their best album is their debut, which
Age of Winters, yeah, the one with Freya.
yeah, that one. I love that album so much. Like you'll just hear me like folding laundry, just go out. Behold the bastard's blade.
Damn.
But yeah,
Went full opera on that as well.
yeah. Hopefully, I didn't wake up Nick.
Devin Townsend is a strapping.
You cut out.
I said Devin Townsend is a strapping young lad, and then I cut out, and then you couldn't hear me go, and now I just feel like an idiot.
Well, how's your internet doing?
No, that was my microphone.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
I mean, this guy is super connected. He's kind of connected everyone from Nickelback to Judas Priest to fucking Opeth, everyone. He's been around. He's done a lot of shit. I think this is the album that kind of put him on the map as a person who is like the head of a band doing stuff. But it's just kind of crazy to be like 25 years later. This is kind of the interesting thing. I guess the interesting thing about Stapping Young Lad too is that after this they kind of went inactive and kind of dissolved and everything, and then they came back apparently because of 9/11. Just the feelings and what you could do and all of that after that, and they got a lot more popular until like about 2006 when they broke up for real, and they actually had an album chart in the Billboard 200.
Wow,
good on them.
So they kind of broke up for real at the end of their popularity, or the height of their popularity, I should say. So even then, I think people consider this to be the best of the Stapping Young Lad stuff that he's done.
Mm-hmm. I should ask my father what he knows about Devin Townsend. Because that would be interesting, I think.
Do you think he would know much?
I think he would know some. Like I feel like he'd know like really obscure trivia about him for some reason.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember if I like exposed you to the meme of people reacting to Devin Townsend videos.
You have not.
You have not.
There's just a few there's a bunch of music react channels, as you're probably aware.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a fucking it's a momentous occasion whenever any channel does a Devin Townsend reaction, because there's always a handful of videos that they pick and they always are just like, oh my god, this guy is amazing. And it's just instant validation for every fan and just an endless cycle of being like, oh my god, they like him. Oh my god, they like him.
My favorite one of those is that there's this old guy who reviewed Clowncore, and you could just tell he loved the thing. But my favorite thing about that was the comment. Was a comment in the video that was like, you could tell these guys have music degrees and disappointed parents.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, here is just an example of a vocal coach and opera singer reacting to his Kingdom video, which is one of the most familiar ones. And there's just so many of these.
It looks like Devin Townsend's arguing at the girl, and she's just scared.
Not wrong.
You're not wrong at all.
It kind of looks
But then-
because I've been in so much of the Jordan Peterson news because I find it hilarious. It almost looks like he's just shouting like something like woke moralists.
God.
Or let's see. Classical composer reacts to Devin Townsend doing Y in quarantine show. You know, it's a bunch of stuff like this. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out because I've seen a million of these now. And it's always really fun to see, like, just how good he is as a musician, even when he's doing, like, studio work, like in a TV studio or doing a quarantine show, and how people just really like him. I don't know.
He's a strapping.
He's a strapping young lad, even though he is 50.
He's a strapping 50-year-old. Well, favorites, least favorites.
Old. Guess who's also 50 years old? Billy Joe Armstrong.
Yeah. And my father.
My condolences.
Favorites for me, I really like All Hail the New Flesh. I also like AAA and Detox. My least favorite, I mean, I like intros generally, but sometimes, like, Velvet Kevorkian could have just been put onto All Hail the New Flesh. It would have been fine.
Favorite, probably Detox or Spirituality. I actually liked. Least favorite, I don't know. Let's say Home Nucleonic. I can't really remember that one.
I liked
Fair.
Home. I remember saying that I enjoyed, like marking down that I liked that one.
Yeah, I'm just putting out a random. Like, so
Fair enough.
don't take it with much grains of salt, to be honest.
I mean, it's worth noting that this probably was an album that inspired Metalocalypse specifically.
Yeah, and I started watching that again this week.
Because one of the people is based on Gene Hoglan, the drummer, and one of them is also kind of based on Devin Townsend.
Yes.
I will
Hoglan-
say I've gotten close to watching Metalocalypse by going to Bob's Burgers, created by the guy who created Home Movies with Brendan Small, who created Metalocalypse. Does that count?
Not really. You need to at least watch up until
I've watched a couple episodes.
the episode where Murderface tries to write his own song is one of my favorites.
Oh, I've seen. I don't think I've seen the full that episode. I've seen those bits.
But it just my favorite part about a TV show is when you can just tell that the creators are laughing so hard at their own jokes.
One of my favorite things is that when I first got online, I just, like, the first person I remember interacting with on forums was a huge Metalocalypse fan, and that's just how I always associate that show with, like, mid-2000s internet.
Yeah, that's about right, actually.
I summed it up. Metalocalypse is the last time that metalheads were recognized counterculture by the media.
And was
Yeah.
Testament big back then as well?
Sorta.
I wonder which one Hoglan would have been more known for at the time. Probably Strapping Young Lad. Said he was a big deal, comparatively. I don't know.
Maybe like a Whitechapel. They might have been later. I don't know. I'm not big on the big modern metal scene.
I just want to point out that I said white as well. There's this video I watched recently where I forgot what the YouTuber's name was, but he does like quite a lot of scene and stuff like that. And if you search it up, you'll find it. And he did a little game show with his friends, and it was called "Is this from an incel forum?"
I saw that too.
On
I got
Metal
7
Lyrics.
out of 10 somehow.
Oh, God.
And there was a Whitechapel one where a lot of people said it was an incel comment.
Yeah.
I wonder if they also played, is it Gautier or is it an incel?
I don't think so. I'll find that video because I sent it to a friend of mine.
It's a great
I
video.
am referencing an old joke, just so people are aware.
I
I don't
know.
think
Oh, yeah,
Gautier
we
is an
are
incel.
aware.
We are
You're aware. I don't know if they're aware.
no, because everyone else actually listened to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just did all of our favorites and least favorites. We're ready to move to the next.
You know, let's move on to the main show of this episode.
Yeah, so I might even just have an autistic rant for an hour about this album, even though this album goes for a bit over 30 minutes. So this is one of those ones where being on a music Discord is actually paid off because someone randomly posted this releases, and I gave it a listen. And and I gave it a listen before Fantano gave it a 9. So I formed my own opinion. But actually, on first listen, yeah, fucking this, and on 11th listen to in around 2 weeks, I really fucking love this album.
Yeah, this is my number one for the week.
This is
yes.
incredible.
Also my number one for the week.
This should be everyone's number one for the week because this is incredible.
I think
incredible.
I think our 3-2-1 is unanimous, honestly.
Maybe.
I'm coming into this and I've got the CD ordered and I'm waiting for it still to come in. And I'm wondering if I should say it or if I should not say it. But then, you know what? I've listened to this 11 times in 2 weeks and I love the shit out of this. And do I like this more than BCNR? Yeah, I think this album's...
Okay.
God damn.
It's fucking incredible. Like, what moments is not likable on here? Even the moments where I think the lyrics get a bit, like, weaker or something compared to everything else, it's because it's comparing to everything else. And then the instrumentation is fucking fantastic for a hardcore record. I've never liked a hardcore record this much. This is astonishing. Like, obviously we got a lot of early highlights into here, but then also like the later fucking songs also are now starting to become even more highlights. I mean, Baby, I had an abortion. Holy fuck when the chorus hits in with the goddamn guitars and everything and that sound. All I'm fucking doing is just having the fucking time of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so many of these are just good at doing different sounds and just making them all really cool sounding.
Yeah.
I just love every fucking bit of this album.
I completely agree.
It's astonishing how much I like this, and it's going to dominate my playlist because it already fucking has.
There's no like, as a little intro. It just feels like something they really liked from the sessions that they're like, fuck it, just put it in too.
Yeah, and it starts off kind of post-punky, and then holy shit, when the chorus, the Preachers just comes in, I'm fucking pumping my fist to it.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I love it. It's just inject that shit into my veins. Oh, this fucks. I love the Turnstile album, and this fucks more than it.
This fucks way harder than the Turnstile album.
Yeah, this is way better than Turnstile, even though Holiday is a banger.
I
also go ahead.
I'm in love. I'm just saying, I'm in love.
I was gonna say this album just made me be like, who the fuck are the Distillers?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I love Brody Dahle's voice, but this is so much better.
Baby, I Had an Abortion is in my is in like the top tier of my tier list for if I'm building my dream Tony Hawk soundtrack.
Oh, by fucking far. I mean, that one's just holy fuck. I don't know where to start with this album. Properly talking, because I just love it. That's like usually when I don't know where to start. Maybe it's a clusterfuck. Maybe there's a lot to talk about in a sense that it's done different things. This is one of the few times where I don't know where to start because I genuinely just don't know which part of it I'm more excited.
Let's start at scraps. Let's just start from the beginning.
Let's start from scraps. We'll go from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
Let's go through it.
I mean, you're all right. Scraps does sound like this kind of like a bunch of sessions all thrown together. It's an intro song. It's literally not meant to be anything other than an intro to this album, but I think it works well that it kind of glides into Preachers, if you get what I mean by that. So it's not for an album that's supposed to be hitting hard, it's not instantly starting with the hard note, which it could still be fine with, but it's letting it build up, and I love to say it's my favorite word, contra. It allows those moments that hit hard to hit fucking harder.
Yeah.
So we could probably move on to Preachers here.
Yeah, I love that Courtney Barnett has become punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. I expected this album to sound a lot more post-punky on the first ever listen that I did of this from how Preachers was going, and a lyrical content obviously talking about here as well on Preachers. It has this kind of whole. There's a big talk about hypocrisy in it, especially in the first couple of lyrics. Like I see, there's a lot of preachers, but there ain't no saints. It's pretty much like, hey, all these people, they're preaching all the shit.
Not practicing what they preach.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. the next line, which I can't remember full exact lines and everything, but it just talks about getting caught red-handed. And it's this kind of like Preachers is very like kind of like this whole I don't want it's very like anti-religious kind of song.
Yes.
And there is very much an anti-authority message this whole album, by the way. And we go back to compare it to the Motionless in White though. Every song here though is going in a specific authority or kind of
there's
reference
topics.
to all that. Yeah, it makes it a lot more better and more coherent and consistent. And Preachers is definitely very like it's not putting in this I don't agree with religion or anything because of what's in the text. It says fuck you, I don't want to be a part of your religion because what all of you are doing. And kind of stuff to it, which is fantastic.
And I think Ren, the singer, has the perfect like punk girl riot voice, like riot girl voice. I mean, sorry, but it's so proper and British, but it also has like the Courtney Barnett shades. It has like the extreme punk, just nailing every note and being as angry as it feels right. Like she nails every emotion, every note, and brings the fire every single fucking time she opens her mouth.
Yeah, see, when you put out a song like Preachers and about stuff that are people who don't practice what they preach, if you're not fully agreeing with the messages that you send out, that will be quite an ironic song. But yeah, no, she 100% agrees with every message, every single word she says. She's is what she feels. And I mean, the whole band seems pretty in tune with everything as well, because no performance on here is like, I don't do this. Everyone's full going on, full hardcore, full protest. It's a fantastic opener to this record as well, because it has those little contrasts. Like the album starts very it's still pretty heavy at its moments, but it has those like just little elements of everything in the album as well. Like the vocals are quite talky during the verses, but then it's just like quite screamy, but definitely singing it in the choruses and stuff like that. Like there's a bit of everything in this song, and I just like at parts I'm struggling to say more because I think I'm kind of saying everything, but I just want to talk more about it.
Yeah,
I think it's just this album came out at the exact correct time with the whole Roe v. Wade thing. This album, is positive and affirming of every identity out there. It's trans positive, it's sex worker positive, it's undocumented positive. It's really honoring women as a whole in a time when we're becoming more divided on that shit for some reason.
Yeah, it's definitely not trying to say these are my issues. It's trying to say this is everyone's issue.
Yeah,
because it shouldn't even be the case. I mean, this isn't an all-female band. What it could be, I don't know the full identity of everyone. I'm not going to try and claim it, but it's kind of like you shouldn't have to just be a woman or something to realize that these are actual issues.
Yeah,
or identify that, because it's pretty universal fucking everything that's happening here. Yes, they are mostly issues that happen to women in this, but it's also like very much it's still a fucking world issue. I mean, you talk about clowns on here as well, which has this kind of whole go at people who, and fairly so. Like there is a fairness to being apolitical and taking every side, and looking at all sides and stuff, when it comes to political arguments or anything. But in the case of clowns, and what it's going at is people who take the I'm a centrist and believe everyone is just as bad as the other, which that is not pure apoliticism. That's just being a fucking coward.
Yeah,
that's just saying I have no opinions. I don't care, and it's just like fuck you. You do care. You just don't want to talk about it.
And that's the case in here. It's kind of just like the whole these are issues that just predominantly affect women that they're talking about. But if you're just going on the fence and everything about this, even when you're not personally affected, that's going just as fucking bad here as being there, because you're not doing anything to help, especially when you can be a position to do it. Maybe you're not being in a position of power per se, but you can still be in a position to at least make a fucking better statement towards people around. And
absolutely.
And the centrism, is pretty much became a joke for the people who are conservative but are afraid to get bashed for people for being conservative, which you don't actually get bashed for being conservative. You get bashed for having the ideas that conservatives have.
Yeah.
Mostly because, have you seen that shit?
You've seen the joke. I'm getting canceled. My conservative values. Oh, you're getting canceled for saying you want lower taxes? No, the other one.
Yeah, I said the N word.
I'm being canceled because I
But
think that people can't make decisions for their own bodies.
Yep.
Oh no.
we're kind of going off the order of this album, but I don't care.
That's
Violent
fine.
by Design. Violent by Design is one of the best cop songs I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of anti-cop ones. Like we haven't really had a good one since Fuck the Police.
Maybe copy.
Very fair.
In
They're out
here,
there, but yeah.
you know, talking in Violent by Design, it does this whole kind of like, what are the good lines that they obviously and they say in a very kind of focused or way that kind of focuses, I don't know to say because I want to say highlighted. Is the why didn't she call the police line, which is this kind of whole like you talk about how police have pretty much a history of domestic violence against their own wives. The line that really fucking hit in there, which is like kind of also reminded me in a way, kind of like in Prison Song from System of a Down, where it's putting out a statistic in a very kind of interesting way lyrically, and it talks about how women are more likely to die at home than they actually are. Like there's the problems of going out in the street and stuff, but they're actually more likely to die at home from their husbands or be attacked in that way.
You know what the leading cause of death for pregnant women in America is?
What?
It's murder. I was gonna say.
And I think that, there's just lines like the thin blue line is violent by design. Like that is the title lyric. And that is the most pointed lyric of like, fuck that thin blue line bullshit. More than anything else. There's an endless cycle of, oh, it's a bad apple, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, there's a systemic problem here. And this song gets it just from the jump of just going right into it. You got a lot of trust in thugs in uniform. That just says everything right away, and then it expands from there.
Mm-hmm. I said the literal last line of this song is CAB, which I'll put out. It is quite easy to just say CAB and repeat that as a line, kind of get those virtue points or anything in here. But in here, it's like there is no doubt that this is just said legitimate, which I fucking love. There's no like I'm saying this because everyone agrees and everyone. This one's saying it because all cops are bad.
I think it's good that it saves it for the very end because it makes the entire point, and then it says it to back it up.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of getting at as well. It doesn't seem like it's just a simple one for people to shout out during the song to make it hit or anything like that. Nothing on here sounds. I mean, with hardcore that's hard anyway. But nothing sounds like it's there to make a hit or anything like that. Outside of maybe "Baby, I Had an Abortion," you could say that the chorus is in there, but I mean, it deserves to be with how fucking good it is. In here, there's no like simple lines that are getting repeated or said that everybody's already agreed with for that sense. It makes a fucking point, and this album is all just making a goddamn point, and it's doing it incredibly. I don't think there's anything here that I've said had my opinion swayed, but there have definitely been moments on here where I've actually learned some stuff. I wasn't actually as aware as I probably thought I was, especially with that kind of whole like, well, I was somewhat aware of the domestic violence stuff, but I was also like kind of aware how bad it kind of could be.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I just imagine a different world in which a line like ACAB, they don't protect me, is like part of like a poppy chorus,
Yeah.
And just how disingenuous that lyric in that context would feel compared to a song that literally builds up to it all the way to the point that is the end of the outro.
Mm-hmm.
There's value in saving that poignant point to the very end, kind of like you don't show Jaws at the very beginning, you kind of show him more and more as you go. And you gotta wait so long.
Yeah.
And I just think they do such a good job killing it with like the songwriting and the structure of it.
There are also points in here where like it has those kind of moments of ambiguity as well, which I'm not quite too sure if I'm getting the meaning correct, but it sounds like it. Like Bones sounds like it's kind of whole like talking about. I mean, they're obviously talking about a fight for our lives as well. But Bones, what I get from the meaning behind it is talking about kind of like about protesting and the necessity for it. Kind of like, well, at least what I've thought take away the noise that Iron Bones kind of means is this kind of like if I don't speak up about this kind of stuff, then I kind of really can't defend myself.
Yeah, or I don't know how to dance differently. This is the only way that I am. There is no other version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's a really fucking incredible album. I I can't believe I just randomly decided to listen to this. The more I talk about it, like I know Fantana when he listened to it didn't really like feed my fire, but like I like how different it sounds. I think it's catchy.
The chorus is weird, and I like that it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unsettle fucking she lands that vocal performance so well. I mean everyone again lands everything perfectly. I love how Baby I Had an Abortion. It's really trying to throw away and doing it quite well the stigma that the abortion itself is the traumatic part, where it's going like, no, I had an abortion. It was a fucking medical kind of way about it, and it's very proud and out loud. I love it. It's definitely a take that you don't hear much on abortion, but it's definitely a fucking take where it's like
based on Ren's actual life. So
yeah, it's a medical procedure. No one goes into like, well, I shouldn't say no one, but I mean all surgeries have a regret rate after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it went to show that actually the gender transition actually has one of the lowest rates.
It does.
Yeah,
it does have one of the lowest regret rates. Exactly.
It's not something that people want to talk about, and abortion is. You probably got a regret rate on that that's probably noticeable. I mean, it can be a decision and stuff, but so it is a decision that people usually make and then do it, and then, yeah,
we have to honor the decision has been made. We can't just protect everybody from the possibility of maybe at some point they might regret doing it. Like, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, and
if that's what they want to do, they should be able to do it.
And that's what it's saying here, and she's bringing it at that point perfectly. There's no kind of, like, It definitely, when this album's also had a go at centrist, it's good that it doesn't do this. It just doesn't try to point out the other point of view and doing the perspective. It is full on going at its own perspective and doing it perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no point in other sidesing it. Like that's
yeah.
I think that would be contradictory to what this whole album was about.
Fantastic fucking record. I can't wait for the CD to come. I'll probably order the vinyl off Bandcamp. To be honest, I'll probably just keep buying this album. If they ever come to Australia, I'll go down into the mosh.
I sent this album to my mom.
Yeah.
She hasn't listened to it yet, but I will let you all know how she likes it. But this is something that would entirely be up her alley, so I sent it to her.
Yeah, no, this is I don't think I've ever given this before on a time that we've actually done the recording of it for an album that's come out this year at least or anything like that. But I'm giving this a 10. There's nothing wrong with this album. I fucking love it.
It's a fucking great album.
I remember the last time you picked something that we like randomly that we all love was Stomach Book. And this is better than Stomach Book for sure. But I just want to say your random picks are incredible sometimes.
Yeah.
This one wasn't random. This one I listened to quite a lot before I picked it. And that's just because I spent a week listening to this album.
That's fair.
All right.
But I guess, but it wasn't like something you had totally planned out beforehand, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I had something else planned, which like definitely was shelved for a while. Or it took a while because I was listening to this so much that I'm just like to cover it now. Yeah. And it's definitely good, especially since everything's getting worse over there from what I hear.
Yeah. And they're an English band even, so that's the funnier part.
Yeah. But it's it's not like the unfortunate part about it. I mean, they're also based in Austria, from what I remember.
Yes.
The unfortunate part is that sometimes these issues are only based in one area. Like, it would be great if we could just say this is Argentina's problem or something like that and never have to worry about it, but just for anything in our life. I don't know why I specifically said... I just said Argentina for no reason.
I have a really fun fact about Argentina. It's one of, like, the most accepting of, like, gay and trans people in the world.
Oh, I can believe that.
Interesting. I did not know that.
And it's kind of ironic considering that's where the Nazis went.
But I'm not of the opinion that this is better than Black Country, probably. I think that is still better for me, but this is still one of the best records of the year so far.
This is better than Black Country for me.
Look, I still love the Black Country record. Like it's one of those albums that's a bit harder for me to go back to because I had to listen to the album full. It just feels like that. And I still don't know if I like the new BCNR more than the first record for me, but I think I enjoyed this barely. Well, not barely because it's 10 out of 10 the others, but I consider this better than both the BCNR at this current moment of time. I don't think I've felt this comfortable calling something a 10 quickly for a long time, because usually it takes a while, but you know how you gave Origami Angel a 10 because you just couldn't find any reason not to? Yeah, that's just this for me.
That's very fair. I appreciate that. There are 2 other albums, a few EPs we could cover from them. There's still plenty of room to run with Petrol Girls.
I haven't listened to any of their earlier stuff because I'm still pumping this out quite a lot. When I eventually say, okay, I need to give this a little break, I'll go back to I'll go to their earlier stuff. We'll see how long that takes.
I mean, that's also a signifier for sure.
Favorites on here are Scraps, Preachers, Feed My Fire, Baby I Had an Abortion, Clowns, Unsettle, Fight for Our Lives, Violence by Design, One or the Other, Sick and Tired, and Bone.
I'm going to completely agree with Ritz.
We'll agree.
So 3, 2, 1, who wants to say it?
How about we go in the order of 1, 2, 3, and say it at the same time?
Yeah, well, fair enough.
I have a feeling it's either going to be equally, we're all going to have the same, and it's going to be kind of funny, or we're going to have one that's different, and we're going to target those people.
Okay, let's go number 1 then.
Okay,
let's
number
count down.
1.
3, 2, 1. Petrol Girls.
Petrol Girls.
Number 2. 3, 2, 1. Strapping Young Lad.
Team Mekano.
I was going to say Stapping Young Lad.
Interesting. The metalhead wants Team Mekano above Strapping Young Lad. Anyway,
my logic. Okay, I'll go into my logic afterwards.
1, 2, 3. Number 3 is Team Mekano.
We already figured it out. Yeah, so I'm Mekano, Strapping Young Lad, and Petrol Girls. That seems to be the agreement with Dominic and Trix. We're laughing at you.
Yeah, go right ahead. I chose Team Mekano over. I put it as a number 2 as opposed to the number 3, because I feel like I'm more likely to go listen to it more and like deconstruct what's going. Where like I enjoyed Strapping Young Lad. It had like heavy riffs and stuff, but it's like an album I'll come back to like once in a great while.
Fair enough.
I'll probably come back to City more than Classic, whatever the fuck that is.
Classic Project.
Classic Project 2000.3 GP.
All right.
Deluxe Edition.
Well, let's go into our picks for next week. Who wants to start off?
I mean, I said it before. I'm picking Green Day, 21st Century Breakdown.
All right.
Let's keep the double album. Let's keep the political stuff going.
I saw them on this tour, believe it or not.
Ash, you want to cover this one for me? Green Day's 21st Century Breakdown. No, not right now. I meant like next week. Yeah, cool. All right, she can do it for me.
Okay.
I'm good.
We have not gotten your opinion on Green Day on this podcast. We need to bring Green Day talk back.
Not right now.
Ritz, what's your pick? Because I have a game.
Well, you remember how you said you never listen involuntarily, Tricks? Well, that's Cry Rank. I don't know if I've... Well, that trend's going to continue because I'm making us both do that covers compilation. Here you go, you do it. And to a little bit of extra credit, listen to the originals of each song as well after you've listened to it.
I think I'm going to do the originals first and then the remakes.
Either way that you want to do it. But we will be talking about the covers compilation and just saying to listen to the originals so that you have the comparison. Because there are some unique takes in it, which I do like.
All right. I'm going to start reading lyrics, and if you think you can guess the album, just blurt it out, all right? I think that someone is trying to kill me, infecting my blood and destroying my mind.
That's Mastodon, the one with blood.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck.
Yeah, no, I got that from the first one.
Yeah.
Why? Well,
holy grrrl!
So Mastodon, what's the album?
Leviathan.
The 5.
You've talked about this one before.
We haven't covered it, but we've talked a little bit about Mastodon.
Yes, I remember the stories now, but I remember this one specifically. I think was one that was interesting.
Yeah, this is one of their best albums.
Okay.
I think Blood Mountain is a close second, but this is my favorite of their albums.
I've never actually listened to this album in full, and I listened to a lot of Blood and Thunder as a kid.
I can play Blood and Thunder on the bass.
Okay, prove it.
My bass is not in the right key, and it's further than an arm's reach away.
Yeah, you ought to know my girlfriend. She goes to another school.
And I'm not warmed up right now, and that's a song I really have to warm up for because there's a lot of fucking tremolo picking, and what's his name doesn't use a pick.
Yeah.
Look, so you could go play it in Need for Speed Most Wanted. You could play it in Saints Row. You could play it in Rocksmith 2014. You could play it in Project Gotham Racing 3. You could play it in Splatterhouse. You could play it in Guitar Hero Metallica, specifically Blood and Thunder. Yes. Rock Band 3, Megalodons and Rock Band, Iron Tuskers and Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, and NHL 2K9. And Island is in Monsters University. So you have plenty of options to pick from.
Bless you.
I was trying to finish that before I sneeze.
What a rant! That was a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, so next week we are doing the covers compilation. Here You Go, Do It from Crywank. We are doing Mastodon's Leviathan, and we're doing Green Day's 21st Century Breakdown. I've never listened to in full because I heard enough of those songs playing on the radio and decided I don't want.
Ritz, we need your opinion on Green Day to be on a real episode. I am tired of covering Green Day on a side project, even though I love doing that series. We have also not done it in a while. Green Day needs to have some representation.
Yeah.
I don't even do the fucking network.
The network was great. I legitimately think the network is fantastic.
That network album kicks so much ass.
And don't worry, I'll go back to the heavier shit next week. Or the week after.
I think you guys got me on a heavy shit train, so
3 heavy albums in a row. So
I just need to share one thing though first. Before we finish up this episode, if we are doing 21st Century Breakdown, then there's just one little video that I think we all need to acknowledge into existence and celebrate it before we even do the album, and that is of course Phineas 21 Guns.
Phineas sings 21 Guns. Is that from the show for real?
No, I'm pretty sure that's a fan animation.
Mom, Phineas is off his antidepressants again.
Until then, I have been Red on the site Red on it's at github.io. I have a YouTube channel that's linked in the description below. I don't post anything on it, but I still advertise it.
My name is Dominic. Catch me on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. I'm on YouTube with Dominic Chikoki. My short film beat's on there, but hey, whatever. I read about video games sometimes. I have a podcast called Dissonant Waves. You can find us at dissonantwaves.space and Dissonant Waves on Twitter, and also Dissonant Waves on YouTube, even though you're probably listening today if you're listening to this right now, because we're only on YouTube still.
I've been Tricks. Catch me on Twitter at procrastinaut_. It's like procrastinating astronaut, then underscore at the end of it. And I have a YouTube video where I'm working on a very, very dumb video. And yeah.
In the battle of Green Day versus Crywank versus Mastodon, only one can reign supreme, and we'll find out next week which one that is. Have a great night, everybody.